Hi everyone, welcome back to the Spring 2021 Welcome Week. We're going to get started here really quickly, but before we do, and before I introduce our guest speaker for today, I wanted to go over the Welcome Week activities that we have going on. So on the screen here, you should see our Welcome Week calendar. So we have a few things happening this week. Great thing about this week is that we are giving away lots of prizes. If you attend any of the events this week, you're automatically going to get a $10 gift card to Pizza Hut, and then each event that you attend will gain you an entry into one of our grand prizes, and we are giving away 2 Lenovo laptops this week for Welcome Week. So attendance for these events can be live if you're here right now, or it can be via recording. We are tracking the attendance for these events until Friday, January 22nd. So as long as you view this recording before Friday and you log your attendance, then you will be entered into those drawings and also receive those $10 gift card prizes. So I will give instructions on how you log your attendance after our presentation, so stay tuned. And without further ado, my name is Carrie Knuth. I am the Assistant Director of Student Life and the Advisor for Campus Activities Board. And I'm responsible for bringing you guys fun and educational activities all semester long. So we do have things happening every week, and if you saw this event on your email, those typically come from me. If you see your news posts from Ivy Life, those are also from me. But if you are just wanting to not necessarily rely on your email and you want to check out what's going on, I'm going to go ahead and show you how to find that information anytime, where you don't have to look at your email. You can see what's happening. If you go, are you able to see my screen, Amanda? Yep. With the My Ivy? Yes. Awesome. Okay, so on your My Ivy account, you'll notice this little link here that says Ivy Life, and that takes you to everything related to engagement and student activities, as well as student organizations for Ivy Tech Fort Wayne. So this brings you to your main page here, and you can see what kind of organizations we have, what kind of news we have, and then what kind of events we have. So you click on the events page and you sort out what events are happening here in Fort Wayne. This is going to tell you all the events that we have happening all this semester. So you know from that calendar that I already listed before, we have the 4 events for Welcome Week this week. You can also pre-register for our Paint a Titan event happening next week. RSVPs are required for that because we're sending painting supplies to your home. So if you're interested in that event, you want your own Titan, you want to paint them, then make sure an RSVP for that event so that we can mail the stuff out to you. Okay, so we are going to go ahead and get started. Welcome everybody for being here. And without further ado, I'm going to introduce Amanda Pickett. She is one of our tutors from the Center for Academic Excellence, and she is here to tell us a little bit about what they do and also give you some success tips for the semester and how to do well. So take it away, Amanda.
Hello everyone, and welcome to the Tutor Tuesday, Introduction to the Center for Academic Excellence, and a brief Smart Start for Success workshop. As Carrie said, I'm Amanda Pickett, one of the tutors at the Center for Academic Excellence here at Ivy Tech, and we are your tutoring center. We are happy to assist you with your course needs. We're going to spend a little time today just going through first some tips for success. So I have 4 tips that I think sort of boil down the essentials of what you need to be a successful student. I'm going to talk to you about some of the resources that are available to you, just give you a quick preview of those, and hopefully you'll return for our Thursday workshop where you can get some more details on all of those. And then I'm going to take you through the basics of accessing services and resources through the Center for Academic Excellence. And then we'll have time for questions and answers at the end if you have them. I want to just make a quick note first. Make sure that you are familiar with the technology that we are using here at Ivy Tech, particularly if you are a new student this spring. Most of the courses here use Ivy Learn, and Ivy Learn is our particular brand for this app. And that is used for most of your class activities. So usually assignments will be turned in via Ivy Learn. This is where you'll email your instructor with questions or problems. This is where you can find your grades. You need to be very familiar with Ivy Learn. You'll want to download the Canvas app to your smart device if you have not done so already, because that Canvas app is the platform that Ivy Learn lives in. And having that app will allow you to really keep up to speed with your courses and what's happening in them. My Ivy is your destination for just about everything else: registering for classes, ordering your books, making appointments with your advisors, depending on your class, maybe setting up tests to be proctored, all kinds of things. Most of those things are going to happen in my Ivy. Most courses do use Zoom. So even if your course is not meeting virtually via Zoom, there's a good chance that your instructor's office hours will be in Zoom. Accessing tutoring will be through Zoom. Accessing the library for individual services will largely be through Zoom. If you meet with your advisor or your instructor, you need to be familiar with this particular platform. There are webinars available for most of the technology that you're going to use. Those webinars are available through Ivy Learn. So if you log into Ivy Learn, all the way down on that left-hand green column, you'll see something that says Resources. If you click on that and then click on the Ivy Learn Student Resource Center, which will be in that menu that pops up, you will see then that there are webinars for Zoom, for Ivy Learn, and for a few other technologies that you're going to be using. So check those out. Again, especially if you are a new student, make sure that you're just ready to go on all of your technology. All right, we're going to look at 4 quick tips for a successful semester. Tip number 1, and I feel like this is the most important one. That's why I always put it first. Attend every class. Do not miss class without some very, very, very good reason not to be there. It is important that you get the information from your instructor, both in terms of course content, as well as changes to due dates, information about what to expect in quizzes and tests. All of those things will come to you in class. Make sure that you're attending class every single scheduled session. Virtual courses require attendance just like face-to-face courses. So if you are taking a course that is virtual or that has a virtual component to it, you need to be there at the scheduled times. Your instructor will be taking attendance, and you're going to get valuable information from those lectures. So try to be there every single time. If you have a strictly online course, obviously you can't attend class for those, but you want to set aside a particular time at least twice a week to check in on that class. So a lot of times we take online classes because they're flexible. They can work with our sometimes very unique schedules, but that doesn't mean that you should leave when you're going to be in the online class to chance. So plan a time. Maybe Monday and Wednesday nights are going to be your time, or Tuesday and Thursday really early in the morning, whatever works for you. But plan a time to check in at least twice a week. Make sure you know what assignments you have, that you're keeping track of due dates. Use opportunities to ask questions. If you have virtual courses, a lot of times instructors will pause occasionally, ask for questions. Make use of that. Get clarification if you need to. I know when I taught, students often would hang back until the end of class and then come up and talk to me personally. A lot of times they were worried about asking questions in that broader context with other students. But it's a lot harder to kind of do that in the virtual world. And almost always, if you have a question about something, somebody else, probably several other people in the class, are going to have that same question. So be the brave one. Raise your hand virtually, put something in the chat, ask your instructor to clarify whatever it is. You're going to be doing yourself and a lot of other people probably a favor. Attend office hours if they are offered. So full-time instructors will, generally speaking, have office hours once or twice a week. Some part-time instructors will have them as well. If they are available to you, take advantage of them. A great chance to talk with your instructor one-on-one, get a better idea of what they're expecting on things. Just a chance to get to know them as a person as well. Some instructors in the virtual environment are requiring appointments for those office hours. So make sure that you know that at the beginning of your course and plan ahead as necessary. So it never hurts to schedule something if you think you might need it, and then, to tell the instructor, oh, you know what, I got it figured out, and then free up that time for someone else. But if you don't have something scheduled and you suddenly have a question, you may not be able to get into those office hours. So be paying attention to that and plan ahead. Students who regularly attend and participate actively in their courses almost always pass. I was an instructor here for about 13 years, and I could pretty reliably predict how a student was going to do in my class based solely on their attendance. I had almost no students, I think it was 2 by the time I was done, who attended every single class and did not pass. Most students who attended every single class did very well in the course. It is the most important thing you can do towards your success. Make a plan then to manage your time. So there are sort of 3 components to time management. You have to know when you're going to study, first of all. You have to set aside some time for that. Don't leave that to chance. Don't make that something that you're gonna get to when you have some free time. Make a schedule for it, and try to stick to that schedule as much as possible. Once you know when you're going to study, then you need to know what you're going to study, and then you're going to need to prioritize your study time. So in terms of knowing when you're going to study, use some sort of tool for that. This can be a calendar app on your phone. It can be the calendar in Ivy Learn, which I'll show you here in a minute. It can just be something on paper. So we have this commitment schedule that a fair number of our students end up using. Just has every hour of the day, every day of the week listed. And you can just come in here and write down all the commitments in your life, and then find in there some time for study. So, generally speaking, we want to start with class, right? When do I have class? I'm going to mark out that time. So maybe I have some classes on Monday and Wednesday morning, and maybe I have a long one on Tuesday afternoon. I'm probably working somewhere in here, the typical Ivy Tech student does. Maybe I work Monday, Wednesday, Friday afternoons, right? Class and work, students never forget to put those on there, but they forget sometimes to put some of the other important things in life. The number one, I think, being sleep, right? Make sure that you have allotted some time to get rest, okay? Late at night is not, for most people, the best time to do studying. Certainly studying instead of sleeping is often counterproductive if you're really tired. Have some time to sleep. Have some time to eat. You may be like me and you're not a big breakfast fan, but at least lunch and dinner, but preferably some small amount of breakfast just to get you going in the morning. But make sure that you have time for these things. If you have back-to-back classes, grab a snack and set it next to your computer before you start, so that you won't be hungry and not thinking about that instead of thinking about your coursework, right? Put things on there like help kids with their school. A lot of us have our kids working from home, studying from home as well. Sometimes they have questions for us. It's much better if you can try to schedule that out. Tell them you can talk to me Tuesdays from 9 to 10, or Thursday evenings from 6 to 8, or whatever's going to work best for your schedule. But then they get the help they need, but you don't feel like you are losing valuable study time yourself, right? If they're still going to school in person, make sure you put any time you need to transport them back and forth, right? If you have Bible study that you're going to every week, it's important that we nurture some other aspects of our life as well. So put that kind of thing, put some time for exercise, put some family time in there, and then figure out, okay, where am I going to get my study time? And you need to have at least a little block of study time every single day if you want to be successful, okay? So you will probably have days where you have big chunks of study time and days when you have much smaller chunks of study time. But you need to get in study just about every day. Okay, if you religiously stick to your schedule, you can maybe take a day off once in a great while, but most of the time you should get some studying in every day. That's the thing that's gonna give you the best chance for success, particularly for remembering things long-term. Okay, bear with me here a second. Let me get my slides going again. Once you know when you're gonna study, you gotta know what you're gonna study. And the best tool for that is the calendar in Ivy Learn. So bear with me, I'm gonna change my share here for a second. Well, I'm going to, if I pull up the right screen. These things are much easier when we're not in the virtual world. All right. There we go. All right, so, no, I don't think that took, there we go. When you are in Ivy Learn, if you go to the calendar here on the left and click on that, you will see all of the assignments for all of your courses, provided that their little boxes here are colored in. If they're not colored in, then you can activate them by clicking on them. Now, most of mine are not going to activate because I don't have a lot of courses that I'm taking since I'm a staff member, but you will have several. And if you click on those boxes, you'll see those things toggle on and off. So you can look at all of your assignments for all your courses, or you can look at one at a time. If two of your courses show up as the same color, right now my personal calendar and in my tech foundations are both purple. I can click on the three little dots and change to something different so that I can tell things apart. But that Ivy Learn calendar will show you all of your due dates for things in class. And so that's going to tell you, okay, this week I need to be focusing on this writing assignment. Or this week I need to be focusing on these 2 quizzes and this discussion board. But that Ivy Learn calendar is going to show you what you need to be doing. And you can add things to that yourself. So just by clicking on a day, you can make a to-do list or an event or an assignment. And so I might need to write 2 pages of my paper. That's due, right? And I can make a note of that. I can give it a time if I want, and I can put that on my calendar. Okay. So the Ivy Learn will both show you what you need to be working on and give you a chance if you want to map things out in that calendar. And some students really love the fact that they can go to agenda view and just have a nice checklist of things to do there. All right, let me go back to my PowerPoint here. So now you know when you're going to study, what you're going to study, and now you need to prioritize. So again, a lot of different things, tools you can use. We tend to like the Eisenhower Matrix around here. And that Eisenhower Matrix just has 4 aspects to it. So things can be important or not important, urgent or not urgent. And then we have just this grid. So things that are important and urgent. Oh, hang on, my screen decided to be funny on me. There we go. Things that are important and urgent, we want to do those first. Okay. Those should be the top of our list. We should start with them. And particularly if there's something unpleasant. We always want to start with the things that we're really not looking forward to the most. We want to do those first. Get them out of the way while we still have the most energy and commitment. Things that are important but not urgent, we want to schedule those. So if we know it needs to get done, but it doesn't have to get done today, figure out in our plan where are we going to get that done. If things are not important but urgent, we want to delegate those. It's really important as a student that we recognize the times for delegating. Many of us independent adults, we're used to doing everything on our own as much as possible. But these few years that you are in school are a time when you really want to focus on, what do I have to do to be successful as a student? And sometimes that means asking other people to help you out. So if it's something somebody else can do for you, ask them, okay? Free up that time for the things that you really need to focus on. And then if it's not important and it's not urgent, don't do it, right? And it always seems odd to have this box on here that we're not going to do, but it can be a really useful reminder to us that there are things that we're going to have to just ignore, right? Things that are not actually important, that are not urgent, and we are not going to do them instead of doing the assignment that's due, all right? So if we list them, it can kind of give us that visual to ignore that and focus on the things in my urgent and important box. So, an example here might be, if I have a project that was due last week, well, that's a due first, right? I got to go and get that done. I am losing points every day that thing is not in. But helping my friend decide what to do this weekend, buying a gift for mom's birthday next week, these are not urgent and important. So helping my friend decide what to do this weekend, that might be a delegate. Tell the friend, you figure it out, I'll go along with whatever. That might be a don't do it, right? But that is not going to go in our do first box. Okay. Buy a gift for mom's birthday next week. Well, if we want to do that ourselves, then we probably want to schedule that for a time that is not study time. Right? If there's an alien invasion coming, that's probably urgent and important. All right, we can use this once we kind of have an idea. Okay, here are the things I need to be working on. We can use this to help prioritize. Okay, I'm going to do first the things that are due right now. Are there a lot of points, right? I should not neglect studying for my midterm, which is 30% of my grade, in favor of getting a discussion board done. That's 1% of my grade, right? So use this to kind of prioritize how you're going to use that study time. Okay. Once we've kind of got our time all mapped out, we know what we're going to do, when we're going to do it, what it is we have to prioritize, then we want to work on not procrastinating. So I always feel like just a tiny bit of a hypocrite at this point in my workshop, because procrastination is certainly an issue for me. And I think it's an issue for at least the majority, if not the vast majority of students. So there are all sorts of tips and tricks out there, but the one that I have found is pretty easy to adopt, in that a lot of students find to be fairly effective for them, is something called the Pomodoro technique. And so this is a technique developed by a woman who had difficulty, particularly studying math, and so was not very motivated to do it. But the idea behind the Pomodoro technique is that you set a timer, whether that's a kitchen timer or your timer on your phone, but for 25 minutes, and you commit to working without interruption for that 25 minutes. So if you're doing school from home and there are kids running around, the dog is barking, and your husband is talking loudly in the dining room to someone at his work, like mine always is, find a place where you can close the door. For kids, it's helpful to put a sign up on the door or tell them to listen for the timer. Tell them they can't bother you until that timer goes off, unless the house is on fire, right? Put your phone away if it's not your timer. If it is your timer, ignore any texts that come through, any phone calls that come through, and just commit to working for that 25 minutes. And when that 25 minutes is up, give yourself a 5-minute break. And time that break as well. If you're going to go back to studying, set a 5-minute timer on that break so that you don't wander off and get distracted by other things, right? And then you're going to repeat that cycle of 25 minutes of really concentrating and 5 minutes of a break. That does a couple of things for us. One, we're a lot more likely to commit to that period of time working if we know it's got a definite end. If we're going to have a break at some point. And two, those breaks are needed for our brain to just have a moment of downtime so that it can be ready for the next 25 minutes. And so even if you're studying for a 2 or 3 hour block, you want to do it in these little chunks. If you try to study for 2 hours straight, what you're going to find is that second hour, you're not making great use of that study time. And by about an hour and a half in, you're not remembering anything that you're doing, okay? Because your brain didn't get the rest that it needed. So try this technique and see if it can kind of help you get going on things. Don't leave your study time to chance. A lot of times students put it off to the weekend because they have a lot of things going on in their lives. And I totally understand that. But if you leave it completely to chance, you will not get things done. You will start to feel overwhelmed. You will get behind on things and your semester will not be as enjoyable as it could be. So even if it's 25 minutes is all you do some days, do something every single day and don't wait until the last minute. Practice smart study habits. So I work with a lot of students in psychology and sociology. Those are a couple of the areas that I cover. And I see students a lot of times after the first exam in those classes, they come in and they tell me, I studied really hard for this and I did not do well at all. And I'll say, what'd you do to study? And they'll tell me, well, I read the chapter and then I reread it the night before the exam. Certainly you have to do some reading, but reading by itself is not a great study habit. And so I want to give you some ideas here. So first thing you want to do, create your optimal study conditions, right? Most of us need a quiet environment, but occasionally some people need some background noise, music or something. Figure out what works for you and have that. Certainly optimal study conditions don't involve dogs, kids, television, right? Make sure that you are in an area where you can really focus. If you have time between classes during the day, so you have a class at 9 and then maybe a break from 11 to 2, and then another class, use that time between classes to study because you're still going to be in school mode and you're much more likely to get things done and done effectively if you're still kind of in school mode. So when I taught for Ivy Tech, if I gave an exam, I tried to plan out time so that I could stay in the building after I finished giving that exam and grade those before I went home. Because if I graded them before I went home, they were done and I didn't have to think about them again. But if I took them home with me, it was really easy not to do them that night and then not to do them the next night. And then all of a sudden it's 11 the night before that class meets again. I promised I'd have them back to students and I haven't graded them at all. And so it's much easier to just keep going when you're already in school mode. Study every day in those increments of 25 minutes, followed by a 5-minute break. And do that as often as you need to master the material. It's a good idea if you have a class that's really vocabulary heavy, particularly, or facts heavy, right? That you have some kind of flashcards that you can carry with you. So whether those are electronic through Quizlet or on note cards, have them with you all the time because there are lots of times, and I find now that everything is basically drive-through. Sitting in drive-throughs a long time sometimes, right? Pull out those flashcards and just be quizzing yourself as you wait there in line. And you'll find that even 10 or 15 minutes like that throughout the day makes a big difference in what you remember. Break down those big assignments into smaller chunks of work. So if you have a 6 to 10 page paper, right, that is a very overwhelming assignment. But break it down and give yourself some mini deadlines. So give yourself a deadline to be done with the research on that project. Give yourself a deadline to be done with the outline, okay? Give yourself a deadline for getting the first 2 pages written and then the next 2 pages written. And all of a sudden that overwhelming, intimidating assignment becomes much easier to deal with. And use brain-friendly strategies. So I mentioned earlier, reading by itself is not an active way to study. And it's always better to have active rather than passive study strategies. So things you can do, write things down. So this is why your instructor will say, take notes on the text. The act of writing it down makes you remember it better. Say things aloud as you study. Reading vocabulary aloud to yourself can really make that vocabulary stick in your brain. Oh, hold on here. I clicked on the wrong thing. Review important concepts every day. So, for example, in a lot of math classes, there are formulas that you're going to need on the exam. Review those every day. And by review them, I mean write them down repeatedly, say them aloud to yourself, do problems that involve them. But do that every single day, even if it's for 10 minutes. Oops, sorry. Study with other people. Other people always hold you more accountable for the material than you'll hold yourself. So we tend to look at things ourselves and think, oh, I know that. I know that. But if another person asked us, they're going to say, well, you know, you kind of got one part of that, but not really the other. So form a study group. I gave some workshops last week, and in one of them, a math one, a student put right in the chat at the beginning, anybody want to be in a study group? If other students ask you, say yes. If nobody asks, you ask. But studying with other people is always more productive than studying on our own. And lots of us are at home with kids who are studying online as well. Sometimes it's good to be study buddies with them. So tell them you'll quiz them about this stuff coming up on their history test, right? And then they'll quiz you on your anatomy vocabulary. And kids almost universally, maybe not your old teenagers, but almost universally really get into this, and they will hold you to a very high standard. If you don't say exactly what's on that flashcard, they will tell you you are wrong. But you will find that study time is a lot more productive if you're bouncing ideas off of somebody else. And be sure you get adequate rest and nutrition. If we're not sleeping, if we're not eating a relatively healthy diet, our brain is just not at its best, and our study time will not be as productive. And then use your resources. So most resources that you'll hear about this week are free. Free really means covered by your tuition dollars, so you already paid for it and you ought to use it. And these things are generally available virtually. Students who use all of their available resources are more likely to succeed than students who don't. The department that I work for, we have a couple of statistics that we like to cite. So one is that students who use our services average a half to a full letter grade higher in their courses. So it can make the difference between an A and a B and a C, or, you know, importantly, failing or not failing. And students are about half as likely to fail if they use our services than if they don't. Students who use more resources tend to do better. So use anything available to you. Again, make sure you have that Canvas app because it's going to help you stay up to date with course information and changes that can really make a difference in reminding you, hey, you have this assignment due at 11:59 and it's not done yet. Time spent with a tutor is twice as productive as time on your own, generally speaking. So you will get a lot more done if you spend some time working with the tutors, and you'll get it done in less time. And I'd like to just share a student perspective here. So we survey students at the end of the semester. And so this is one that we had submitted last semester. Somebody said, my tutor made me understand the material better and feel more confident about the class. So certainly we help students figure out the content for the class, learn that content, hopefully well enough to be successful in the course. But we also just really improve the experience. You feel more confident, better about the things you're learning, more like you're remembering it long term. And generally speaking, you're going to be less stressed and you're going to have more free time if you take advantage of the resources available to you. All right, so what are those available resources? First and most important is your instructor. So your instructor is the one who sets the tone for the class. They're giving you assignments. They know what they expect on those assignments. They are the subject matter expert. And so your first call every time is to your instructor. Email them, go to their office hours, call them if they gave you a phone number, and let them know that you have questions. I worked here for about 13 years as an instructor. I know a lot of the instructors very well. They are very passionate about student success. They want you to reach out to them and ask your questions. The Center for Academic Excellence, again, that's the center that I work for. We provide free professional tutoring in a wide variety of Ivy Tech courses. All the math courses, most of the introductory sciences, introductory nursing courses, English 111, writing support in any class with a writing assignment, psychology, sociology, music and art appreciation. You name it, we can probably help you somehow. We can make online appointments with you one-on-one. Those are available via Zoom right now. And generally speaking, you can have up to one appointment per week per subject for a maximum of 3 appointments in a week. If you're taking an 8-week course, sometimes we can double up on that because we know you're going twice as fast. But lots of opportunities to get that one-on-one help. You don't have to meet with someone every week. Some of our students definitely plan to do that. Helps them just to stay on track, to get answers to their questions as they come up. Some students only come right before an exam. Either one is fine. Just make use of the services. We also have drop-in tutoring offered virtually. I'm going to show you a little bit more about some of these things here in just a minute. We have subject-specific pre-semester workshops and review sessions. So we offered workshops on writing, on some of the math courses, and some of the science courses, and some more specific information about some of the things I mentioned earlier, time management, good study skills, that kind of thing. Those are available on our website, and I will show you that link here in just a bit. We also offer review sessions for some of the courses here at Ivy Tech. So all of the math, anatomy, 101 and 102, sometimes some of the sciences. If you're in a course where we offer something like that, you should receive an email from us letting you know when those are going to occur. And you can attend those live, or you can view the recordings of them at a later date. And our contact information, if we get back to campus, we will be in Harshman Hall. But for right now, you can contact us via phone at 260-480-4262 or at our website, CAEIVY.com. And there's most of our smiling faces. Nico is new, so don't have his picture yet, but we are here to help you. Some other resources to know about. TRIO is an organization that offers some additional tutoring, advising, workshops, that kind of thing. You do have to meet requirements for that program and be accepted into it. The requirements are that you're a first-generation college student or have demonstrated financial need or disability registered with our disability support services. You can call TRIO today if you want. There's the phone number, or you can check them out on Thursday at our resources fair. Disability support services is there to help you figure out what accommodations might be available to you if you have a diagnosed disability of any sort. Again, you can reach out to them today, but both of those organizations should be at our resource fair this Thursday as well. Our Ivy Tech library has some great librarians who are available to help you online. They can answer questions by chat, by email, or by Zoom. You can also set up a one-on-one appointment to talk with somebody if you have detailed research you need or something. They're a well-kept secret here at Ivy Tech. Students don't take nearly enough advantage of their services. But please check them out. They have limited in-person hours and services right now, but lots of help available online. Our educational technology team, they are here to answer your questions, resolve your problems with technology related to your course. So that could be Ivy Learn, but it could also be the electronic books that you have, the homework that you're assigned in Cengage or My Math Lab. These are the folks who can help you out with that. And then there are a host of other resources, personal, social, career, educational, available at Ivy Tech. And there's a list of those in My Ivy. There's also a list of those in Ivy Learn. Take some time to familiarize yourself with what's available. And if you're not sure, you can ask Fort Wayne at ivytech.edu and someone will be able to tell you. All right, I want to just briefly show you how to access support and resources through the CAE. So I'm going to share my other screen here one more time. All right, so when you land on our homepage, you're going to see the smiling faces of some of our former students. And up here at the top, you can use this link to quickly schedule a tutoring appointment. But some other things I'd like to show you. So about us, you can just learn who we are, what we do. You can click here to schedule an appointment. And so if it's your first appointment, your best bet is always just to go ahead and call our phone number. There's just some onboarding we like to do, can kind of explain to you how things are going to work, how to get to us that first time. A little bit easier in a phone call. Once you've seen us once or twice, if you want to do your own scheduling, you can use the link there for the tutor track. And that walks you through how to schedule your own appointments. A lot of times students like to use that once they've kind of got it figured out, because if you realize at midnight that you really have some questions that need answered tomorrow, you can go on there at midnight, schedule your appointment, and we'll see you that next morning. Our drop-in lab, if you click on drop-in lab schedules here, there's a big giant link there for the drop-in lab. And that lab is available Mondays through Thursdays, 8 a.m. to 7 p.m. It's available on Fridays from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. and on Saturdays from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. I think it's the only place to really get live help on the weekend. The hours that we are open, we try to have someone who can help with writing all of those hours. Every once in a while, you won't find it, but almost universally, you will find someone who can help with writing. So writing in your psychology class or your English class or your history class, there should be somebody who can help you. We also try to have someone who can do math. So generally speaking, that's math 123, 136, 137. Some of those more specialized maths, you might have to check the schedule. But we try to at least cover math, basic math and writing at all times. But then we will also have people available for other subjects. Now, accounting is special. Accounting has its own little drop-in tutoring lab. If you're taking an accounting course, you'll probably hear a lot about it from your instructor. I think these are the updated hours, but if not, again, your instructor will let you know. Outside of accounting, though, you will be able to check the tutor schedule and see if you need something more specialized. So if, for example, you need help with a computer science course, so you're going to look for when's Jeremy in the lab, and you can drop in and Jeremy will help you with that. If you're looking for anatomy help, you can see, okay, when is Tina or Nico or Andrea in the lab, and you can drop in and get help with that specific course. And our About Us tab gives you at least a rough idea of who does what. So if you are not sure, check that out, and then you'll have a better idea. But most of the time, students will start coming to see us. They'll get to know, who it is who can help them, and then they can check that schedule and come in when they know they're going to be able to get help. We also have 3 fantastic student workers who work with us, Megan, Gary, and Jordan. Megan tends to do most of our health sciences things. Jordan is very focused on math. But Gary does a smattering of just about everything. And so you'll be able to tell when they're in the lab as well. We have some course resources specifically for some of those courses that students tend to take the most often and have the most questions about. So if you click on those, you'll see that we have things for health sciences, for math, for sciences, just general study skills. So some of those things that I mentioned earlier, some of the time management tools, some of the study strategies. There are some resources specifically for that. We have some fantastic writing resources, all the different types of essays you might be assigned, have examples and information. Any writing you're going to do is probably either an APA or MLA style. We have guides for that so that you don't have to read through those entire style guide books. We have basic grammar, punctuation. So if you keep seeing the same comments from your English instructor, you can come and get more information here. So all kinds of great resources specific to certain courses. We also have additional resources here. Learn to type, learn more about how to use Word, Excel, PowerPoint, Khan Academy for additional math practice, all sorts of great things here. And then we also have anything that our department does in a group setting, review sessions, study groups, that kind of thing. We have recordings for those. So if you click on the recordings here, you'll see those pre-semester workshops that I talked about. They are right here. You can click on that link and you can go and see our dosage calculation workshop or that writing workshop and get that same information that we presented last week. As we go along, we'll start to have study groups that meet, and those sessions are generally recorded. Math review sessions are recorded, although they have right now their own little tab here under math exam preps. So all kinds of useful things. If you're using our site and you have questions about it, you can come to the DropIn Lab and see us. I want to really emphasize that website, that CAEIVY.com, and let me switch my screen here and I'll write it again. So again, the CAEIVY.com is kind of your one-stop for all questions and problems. A lot harder to track people down, and I think, in the virtual world than if we were on campus. And so if you come to that DropIn Lab, and we're open when all the offices are open, plus some, right? And so if you're having trouble getting into your course, the Zoom link doesn't seem to be working. If you can't get into office hours with your instructor, if you can't figure out who you're supposed to talk to about your financial aid, if you don't know how to download Office 365 to your computer, which you can do free as a student, all of these things, you can come to our lab and we will do our very best to assist you. And if we can't help you, we're going to get you to the person who can help you. I can just about guarantee that. So if you don't have anything else you get from today, get that link, write it down somewhere, come and see us with any questions, problems, or concerns that you have. We are really here to help you. We love working with students and we want to see you be successful. All right. At this point, if we have any questions, you can throw those into the chat. If you're watching this video at a later time, again, if you have questions about what I went over today, you can drop into our DropIn Lab and ask anybody that you find there. They'll either know the answer or they will try to find somebody who does. You can also reach out to me directly at apickett4@ivtech.edu. That's going to be slightly less fast than just dropping in our lab because sometimes I only get to my email a couple of times a day. But certainly, if it's a question like I should answer specifically, go ahead and send me that email. I will do my best to get you answers. Thank you so much for your time today. I hope you all have a great semester and hope that we see at least some of you come through our department. Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Amanda. I really, really appreciate all of your wonderful information about the Center for Academic Excellence and all of your studying tips. Real quick before we go into how you log your participation, I just want to share how, like I've said before, we do a lot of events live. Some of those events are appropriate to watch via recording after the fact. So I wanted to show you how to access those events real quick before we move on to the participation. So let me go ahead and share my screen here. It's super duper easy. We do have a YouTube page. The website is link.ivtech.edu/TitanTube. All of our past events will be listed there, but we also put the link to the recorded video of the event on the event description in Ivy Life. So where I showed you guys before on how to access the event, you can always go into the past events and view the event that way. You can also access the event directly from the email or the news post that you received, and you can see those videos there as well. So without further ado, let's talk about how to log participation. So this is actually super easy. Everybody should see a QR code here on my screen. At the bottom of the QR code, you also will see a link. So you can do one of two things. You can just type this link directly into your web browser, this link.ivtech.edu/FW for Fort Wayne, WW for Welcome Week Tutor, and or you can take your mobile device and snap a picture of this QR code. They're both the exact same thing, just different ways to access them. This will automatically take you to our Ivy Life page. You will see a note at the bottom that says your participation for this event has been logged, and that is literally all you have to do. You don't, as long as you're signed into Ivy Life, it automatically, by clicking that link, will track your participation. So in order to be eligible for the prizes that we're giving away this week, as well as in order to get your entries to the grand prize for the 2 laptops, you need to log your participation in one of these 2 ways. So even if you're viewing this on the recording, you will want to make sure and take this step so that you will be eligible for the prizes. You'll know that you are eligible for the prizes because I will be sending out an email by January 25th that notifies you of receiving your gift cards, as well as who the winners were for our grand prize options. So if you don't receive that email on the 25th, then we need to figure out what's going wrong with the logging of the participation. So you are always welcome to email me. I will put my email in the recording, but my email address I am going to throw in here in the chat as well. If for some reason you are not, the tracking for the participation is not working. So, okay, well, that is it. I thank you guys for joining us today. Don't forget to check out the rest of our events this week. Tomorrow we have our student organization fair, Thursday our resource fair, and then also our digital caricatures that are happening on Friday for our Friday Fun Day. So if you've ever had your picture drawn as a caricature, this is a way to have it in a digital format. There's only 30 spots available for that event, so if you are interested in that, you need to RSVP for that in advance. So thank you guys again. Don't forget to check out our Titan Tube website for seeing any of our previous events. Thanks a lot. Have a great afternoon.